great. And just to kind of set the tone and set how we're going to move forward, I am a fan of conversational style communication, so that's what we're going to do. So if you hear something that's interesting to you, feel free to jump in and continue the conversation. This doesn't have to be one person talking at a time, okay? So this is going to be an interesting conversation. I'm Liberty Madison, as you can see right there. I'm a co-founder at the PropTech House, which we do the largest technology and real estate experience during South by Southwest. And we are huge fans of getting PropTech companies, customers, and funded. So I'm super excited to be here and talk about what the economic development looks like as far as manufacturing, as far as construction, infrastructure, technology with our esteemed guests here today. I'm going to introduce them a bit and I'm going to let them take the reins and dive a bit deeper into what they're contributing to the space. So I'm going to start out here. Let's see here. We have, you guys switched up on me. Okay, perfect. Andrei, it's nice to see you in person. Nice to see you in person. We have Andrei, who's director at Angelou. Did switch up on me. Okay, Angelou Economics over here. And we also have Oliver. Oliver, good to see you again. Oliver is an executive director at the Institute of Integrated Solutions. And we have joining us Philip Wiggum. Philip is the founder at IQ Land, which we heard about yesterday if you guys were here. And if we also have joining us, which we just heard your talk, I'm super excited. We have Scott again. Scott, as you know, is heading up Cedarpark's economic development, but he's assisting there. And this conversation is all about the quarter economics. So we're going to talk about what that looks like from the landscape of AI, what we can think about as yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I think we have some tidbits that we've discussed that I think people will be interested in. So I'm going to start off when we look at yesterday. I learned a lot from Andrei about how we've come to be a leader in the city of Austin, how that has shaped and the contributions that your organization have added to that. Can you share, in case people don't know, how we've gotten to where we are as far as the technological advances, the companies that are here, and your role in that?
Thank you, Liberty. Well, I'll share at least the story that I know from our executive, from our CEO and founder, Angelou. And I was telling Liberty and Oliver here on the call yesterday, on our prep call yesterday, that he and his team at the Austin Chamber of Commerce back then, that was, 4 decades ago, along with other people, great, fantastic people at the governor's office level as well as the local level, they kind of set the trend of Austin, at least, becoming the tech global hub that we know today. They started a program of recruiting tech companies, primarily from California, and that was in the mid-80s when our boss, I guess, my boss, Angelou, joined the Austin Chamber of Commerce as Vice President of Economic Development. And they would do these exploratory trips to California for almost 10 days, meeting with over 120 companies. So they kept doing this for nearly 10 to 12 years. And they managed to recruit over 900 tech companies and to create over, I want to say, 285,000 direct and indirect jobs in Austin and in the Austin area, if you will, or region. And I remember from his story a couple of stats that impressed me a lot. When he moved to Austin in the mid-80s, the city of Austin had a population of 250,000, 260,000 people. Today, the city has a population of 1.1 million people. 4 decades later, sorry. While the region, the metropolitan area, if you will, of Austin had a population of above 500,000 people, and today, over 2.6 million people. So this is amazing. UT back then was also part of these efforts, and there were two major other components that contributed to this transformation. the Silicon Hills, which Austin is also known as. Of course, the semiconductor industry played and still plays a significant role in this transformation of the Austin city and community. AI, robotics, medtech, health tech, so forth and so on. Those two, I want to call them revolutionary happenings, if you will, were the MCC and the Sematech, both headquartered here, which were national initiatives that started here to take on the Japanese at the time companies that were kind of monopolizing the American market with their chips and then with their software. So Austin, transformed from a dorm city, if you will, into an amazing global tech hub that we know today. And on top of that, there is another thing, which I think connects and links everything and fuels at the same time this amazing transformation. And this is not, I don't claim ownership on this expression. This is something that I heard from Kevin Coyne with TechRange. Austin has something that is unique. I mean, it has many things that are unique, but it has something that is unique, which is called creation or creativity culture. And this touches or enables almost everything that is happening in Austin. And I like to believe that we at Angelou Economics were part of that, and we are still part of that. We are very creative and very innovative. Our, I want to say, war has enabled communities across the US, but also across the world, to become more economic development sustainable and to look into the future, in their future, focusing on technology. So our entire economic development work is focusing communities, our partners, I don't want to call them clients, into technology.
I think that definitely sets the stage. Thank you for sharing why it's important that we focus on economic development and setting the stage for how we got to where we are today. Oliver, Philip, Scott, Glenn, have you go ahead and introduce yourself more and how you're contributing to the ED6.
Thank you, Liberty, and also David for organizing this. My name is Oliver, and I'm a partner in a small consulting firm called Institute of Integrated Solutions. We specialize in, especially cross-continent between Asia.
Oliver, how do you say I'm a small firm? You're doing cross-international, like all of these things that you're doing, so amazing.
Thank you. It's a small firm. I coming from IBM consulting portion of that, and few partners at IBM consulting, we formed a small firm that we specialize on that. So enough has been said about the advantages Austin and Texas and the corridors and Monterey has. I want to have something that address the weakness or the potential problems we facing. How are we going to address those kind of problems and or shortcomings that I think that we can better serve this region and develop this. So excuse me if I'm too negative, but as American, we like to face the problem instead of just saying good things, right? I just came back from Asian country tours of Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, China, Taiwan, whole bunch. You can clearly say that there's something we should face and we should address. I think one of the biggest problems we have in here is that any business, what is the most challenging problem facing is the workforce, right? So I can clearly say that compared with Asian countries, especially some of the well-developed countries like Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, Singapore, especially, that our quality of human resource or professionals are, in general speaking, that still lacking behind. Especially we're talking about work ethic. Believe it or not, we're not the most hardest working people. There's a lot more people working. For example, Singapore is almost identical in terms of a geographic size to the city of Austin, same size, but their GDP a lot higher, okay, and their per capita income a lot higher than us. Why? They have very highly trained, very high work ethic, so this is very important. Being in Austin for 30 years and almost 10 years in Silicon Valley, I can clearly see the problem here that we have to address, right? Work ethic problem. Secondly, I want to emphasize is the infrastructures that we are still not there. Talking about transportation. Enough have been saying about the I-35 corridors and the transportation, and it's still a big problem. Energy distribution system. Trump used to saying that there was a massive blackout around the northeast portion of the U.S. And Trump at that time, Trump term one was saying that. We are not as good even as a third world country, right? It's actually an insult to the third world country. Our infrastructure is pretty bad. Let's put it that way. Every little storm that we have, power destruction, this and that. So I think that's could be also the problems that we should face. To the futures of our corridor, and we'll welcome everybody commenting on that as well. I think. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Oliver and Philip. Philip, welcome. I want to invite you to share more about yourself and also what you're contributing to the space, ED space. And one, you're the only PropTech company here, so I think you offer a unique perspective.
Yeah, definitely, but it still piggybacks on, what Oliver's saying here. Inefficiencies with governments within cities actually slow down economic development. I experienced that personally as a real estate developer in Atlanta, Georgia. Whenever I wanted to go develop a property, I would first have to decipher the zoning codes, the zoning rules, all of those different things, and it would take a lot of time to actually understand what I could build there. On top of that, I had other work to do. I had to figure out if that project was feasibly viable for us. Could we move forward? If we did move forward and we were wrong, those became sunk costs for us. So these are hindrances for developers to come into cities to develop because of the infrastructure problems, not being able to understand what the city is asking of you. So what we did is we came up with a solution, for the developers using artificial intelligence. We can now interpret the zoning codes, apply those to parcels, and let us know, and it gives us real-time answers on what we can build there, from a city zoning perspective, ordinance perspective. And then from a developer perspective, it allows us to let us know, hey, here are the comparable sales, this is how much we're gonna make. But as we built this and we started to talk to organizations, cities, economic development agencies, et cetera, what we found was that that problem extended past zoning and ordinances. It extended into how cities were doing business, period. How they were sourcing new companies to develop infrastructure for their towns. How it's difficult for economic developers and city planners to apply for grants and do their jobs. So we went in and started to automate a lot of these different processes so cities can move forward, advance, become innovative and attract more development. So software will eat the world, and we just truly believe that cities can advance by using artificial intelligence and moving towards that space as opposed to legacy softwares. And I'm pretty sure you know that they're discombobulated. You'll have this system trying to talk to this system, and this system's not necessarily talking to that system. And so it just slows down, development. So this is what we're here to solve. This is what we're actively solving here. We're based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're recently venture backed, and we are looking to change the future of economic development and urban planning.
Thank you. And Scott.
Man, sounds like we might be able to do a deal over here. I like hearing about these products that help cities. Well, I just introduced myself earlier, talking about my role on behalf of the city of Cedar Park, but I think economic development offices all across the state and perhaps nation are doing a good job of partnering with their sister communities to form regional offices of economic development. I worked at one time with Opportunity Austin, which markets 5 counties in and around Austin. They're a really good advocate for large projects like, again, the Tesla deal and others, but also how do we encourage investment in our airport? How do we add different lines? That's the first thing that international companies tell me is, oh, it's great, Austin looks like a great market, you have interesting collaborative partners and workforce, but do you have a direct flight to Seoul? And that's a real disadvantage. I had a Canadian company. Do you have a direct flight to Montreal? And we have to say no. And so that really scores us low. That's why a regional group like Opportunity Austin does a good job of advocating on behalf of all the cities in our region. And then when I came out to work in Cedar Park, I was happy that the Wilco Economic Development Partnership had recruited an old friend of mine. Well, he wasn't old, but a longtime friend of mine, Dave Porter, to be our executive director starting in 23. And since then, he has been a dynamo on behalf of all of the 9 cities that participate in the Williamson County Economic Development Partnership. Marketing our county, which you'd be surprised, Williamson County doesn't have a huge name ID when we leave Central Texas, but marketing not just nationally to site selectors and investors, but internationally. And of course, leveraging the tremendous impact that the Samsung investment is having in our county. We've actually opened up an office in Korea, and it's been over a year now where we have a dedicated professional working with, basically it's like a federal chamber of commerce there in Korea, and they market Williamson County nonstop, and we get a tremendous pipeline of leads. And you would think, well, that's easy, you've got Samsung, so obviously it's a supply chain play, and yes, it's true, a lot of suppliers to Samsung do want to locate in and around Taylor and Hutto, etc. But just the news that Samsung has chosen Williamson County for such a significant investment, other companies, bioscience companies, software companies, others are saying, well, let's see what they're all about. If we're going to do business in North America, if we're going to do business in the United States, let's see why Samsung chose this region. And so we get 2 or 3 different lead opportunities as a result of this partnership just about every week, and we have site visits every month. And lots of us have already located Korean companies as a result. We have 3 that call Cedar Park home, and we're looking to add more. So those partnerships are really pretty clutch for us.
I was just going to ask you that. What do you think is driving this growth? Because I think identifying what Austin and what Cedar Park is right, that other communities can learn from, and honestly, we don't want them to take our spot. But what we're doing right, and I think a few things you mentioned is working together, building this internal infrastructure, talking about the direct flights, and now Delta is building that up. You're talking about all these people. And one thing that you said earlier during your talk is basically being a marketing department of the city and bringing those new companies and those new economic opportunities. What are the challenges that you think we face? I want to pose that to everyone here. What are the challenges they think we face, and what could a solution be to that?
Well, I'll jump on that and hand the mic down.
Yeah.
Just because I deal with it all the time. Ours is, not trying to be everything to every company. Thankfully, the governor's office, Opportunity Austin, what we be, as well as a lot of our internal marketing that you just referenced, generates a lot of activity. We get 30 or 40 different companies reach out to us each month asking for a request for proposal to fit their unique criteria. And we want to respond to them all, right? You think, okay, this is capital investment, these are jobs. But we would tax our small community, 26 square miles, 84,000 people or so, We can't be everything to everyone. So we're operating under a strategic plan that a consulting firm, much like Angelou, has done previously, helped us see what our resources can support, and then we kind of self-select the different responses we go after. So you just gotta know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You know, they always say when a general manager is building a football team, before you go looking for free agents, you've gotta diagnose your own team. You've gotta realize who's strong and what positions do I need to invest in. I think it's the same with the city. What do we have that's a good resource? Where are some deltas? And where can I invest in to address my key concerns? But just at the macro level, obviously transportation is something we're always thinking about. Water is something we're always thinking about. On the west side of Williamson County, we don't respond to some of these huge fads that need a tremendous amount of water because we know the western part of our county has some strategic decisions they're gonna have to make in the next couple of decades. So we look for things that fit what we can bring to the table. I hope that answers your question.
It absolutely does.
Thank you. I think that was a terrific question. We have to realize that my emphasis again go back to the human resource, and one of the particularly emphasize on the people's mind. You know, the trade policy with the government and also with business leaders and even regular people. Remember, Austin is not only competing with LA or San Francisco Bay Area. We are actually competing globally with Tokyo, with Seoul, with Taipei, with Singapore. You know, we gotta look at it in international scales. When a company decided to locate it in Cedpark or in Singapore or in Taipei, there's many things to consideration, and I genetically find that Texas people are. I mean, we have a really big heart, very nice people, but our vision, relatively speaking, that can be improved. Let's put it this way: that we are competing internationally, and by passing some bills like SB 17 or SB 470, how many people know those two bills that was talking about in the past? Good. It's restricting people buying even housing, right? That's not really a good sign. All the countries I've been visiting, Asian countries I know, you know, in the last couple of months, people know that. And that sounds really stupid, you know. We are overtaking the federal authority legally, right? That's not our job as a Texas as a state. That's a department. That's a State Department's job. And so we need changing people's mind and have a better work ethic and a better trade policies and really open heart to not only to Koreans, also to the Japanese, Chinese, Singaporeans, and Thailand. You know, there's many countries, many companies that can invest in Texas. Relatively because we have very big advantage. We have a lot of land, right? We have a lot of people and educated workforce. And how can we leverage those advantages and to our benefit? I think that's something that government officers and people can really think about. Think in a global way, global vision, instead of just locally, right? Thank you.
We'll close out that question.
Well, I wanted to add two things here. More internationalization. Austin, of course, is ranking now, I want to say third or fourth in the startup and innovation ecosystem, you know, globally. But US is kind of falling down. If you take a look at the global innovation index for 2025, Switzerland is still number one for 13 years in a row, but the US has fallen on the fourth place. Innovation doesn't come only from startups. It's fantastic. Innovation comes from many sectors, and it should come from many sectors. And I want to leave you with one question. How many of you are familiar with dark factories? Raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. So many people. Dark factories is exactly what you're thinking about. Dark factories are Chinese dark factories. This is a concept that was launched in China where there is no light during the production. The lights are turned off because only robots work in those factories and maybe a bunch of people that are coordinating, monitoring things. The US doesn't have that. Tesla might have, I mean, the Gigafactory might have something like that, almost 90% and not 100%. I'm not comparing anything to anyone here, I'm just leaving you with these thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to give a round of applause to everyone who joined us to talk about corridor economics. We want to give a round of applause to Andrei. Thank you so much. And Scott, Oliver, Philip, this has been a blast. And you guys can, I'm going to say myself last. So thank you so much. And again, I'm Liberty Madison with the PropTech House. This has been amazing learning about everything that you're doing to contribute to the Austin economy and the surrounding cities of Austin and what other people can learn. Feel free to reach out to them outside. They'll be available for a bit of Q&A. Thank you so much.